Well, welcome to question 74, the secunda secundae. The topic for this lecture is tail bearing, and I am Dr. Thibault. Uh, as you can tell, we've been working on this for a little while, so we are dealing with the virtue of justice, and particularly the commutative justice, which is the justice between two individuals or multiple individuals, compared to distributive justice, which is between a large group to the individual. We've dealt with judicial words, we've dealt with deeds that violate commutative justice. Now we are working on extrajudicial words dealing with uh, commutative justice. And we've already done reviling, backbiting, and now we are doing tail bearing. Tail bearing, kind of the word is maybe one of the more interesting parts of it. Thesaurus and Saint Isidore of Seville, he says the talebearer takes his name from the sound of his speech, for he speaks disparagingly, not to the face but to the ear. So, when you are talebearing, you sound like the word right? So it's clearly done something behind somebody's back. Is this idea of tail bearing? How is it then different than backbiting, which we did last question, question 73? And he says both of them deals with speaking evil secretly to their neighbor. Um, Backbiter, if you recall, was focused primarily on denying the person's good. It was to harm the person's good name. If you remember, reviling dealt with dishonoring somebody, mostly to their face, right? In front of others, you just reviling was to somebody's face. Backbiting was behind somebody's back, related to their good name. Talebearer, um, it's different. It's almost like backbiting plus. It's attacking somebody's good name, but it's doing it to sow discord among friendships. Um, a talebearer intends to sever friendships, and he does it from both sides. So, to one friend, uh, they say, Mary's really talking bad about you behind your back. She's really not a good friend. And then when you go talk to Mary, you say, Jane's really not a good friend. She told me this gossip about you. So you're cutting from both directions. Um, that's by uh, St. Thomas uses the book of Sirach and saying it's a double-tongued, because they're really accusing both sides in order to create that division where the friendship can't be reconciled. Um, and it's creating trouble where there was otherwise peace. So two people are perfectly good friends, they like each other, and because you have started telling these tales, you've now created enemies out of friends. So that's different than backbiting, where you just might be going to one person saying, well, Mary, she thinks she's so great, but really, and you making up lies about her. This is really with the intention of just severing friendships. Um, Talebearing, in some ways, is more grievous because, in St. Thomas points out from the writings of Aristotle's Ethics, Nicomachean Ethics, no man can live without friends. Um, Big theme also within the Eudemian Ethics of uh, sins against one's neighbor are more grievous accordingly as they inflict greater injury or harm. So, what is going to create more injury? Somebody dishonoring you, or you lose all your friends? And St. Thomas is pointing out that it's worse. It's a worse outcome, worse injury if you lose your best friend, right? If somebody dishonors you in front of strangers, you may never even see these people again. It might not have that much of an impact on you if strangers don't think very good things about you. But if you lose your best friend, that's far worse than what other people think. Right? your close relationships being severed is a worse injury than more distant relationships, even if it's 10 strangers compared to one best friend. You prefer your one best friend to 10 strangers. Um, so in that way, tailbearing is an even greater sin because it has a greater effect on your life, or a much worse effect on your life. Um, and you said sometimes a backbiter might say something worse about you. A reviler to your face might say something much worse. Um, but uh, but losing your best friend, even if they said something lesser of you, like, let's say that somebody publicly says you're a rapist, but there's no grounds behind it and you can defend yourself, that might not be as bad as saying to your friend behind your back that you're a gossiper and you're saying negative things about him. Much lesser of an offense, but if one can be easily refuted and has no bearing, it might be a lesser offense than losing your best friend. Um, this is a very short section. There's only 2 articles in it. So talebearing focuses on the destruction of friendship and is just not just the destruction of one's good name. Talebearing is worse than backbiting and reviling, since friendship is more valuable than honor and a good name. So that's all we have on this one. The next topic is derision.